अरिहंत सिद्ध सुर उपाध्याय साधु सर्व अर्थ के प्रकाशी मांगलिक उपकारी है। तीन को स्वरूप जानी रागते भई जो भक्ति काय को नमाय स्तुति को उच्चारी है। धन्य धन्य तुम से काज सब आज भयो कर जोरी बारंबार वंदना हमारी है। मंगल कल्याण सुख ऐसो हम चाहते ओ मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। ओ मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। वंदितु सौ सिद्धे ध्रुव चलमणुवम गदिम पत्ते वोचामी समय पाहुड़ मीणमो शुद्ध केवली बणिदम नमः समय साराय स्वानुभूत्या चकासते चेत स्वभावाय भावाय सर्वभावांतर छिदे। Acharya Kunkun Dev's Samaysar and the commentary by Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev. And in that Samaysar we have covered so far first three kalash, 1, 2, 3, kalash number 1, 2, 3, and then we covered verse number 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay. So in the fifth verse, Acharya Kunkun Dev promised that I will show you unitary yet distinct pure soul, Ekatva Vibhakta Bhagwan Atma, through my own inherent glory. Okay, through my own inherent glory. If I reveal it, then accept and affirm it as true. Okay, so in the fifth verse, Acharya Kunkun Dev promised to show this unitary yet distinct soul. Okay, and he said that this has I have manifested this because of my inherent glory. And how that inherent glory was manifested? Through the study of the scriptures. Second, reliance upon reasoning. Third, the instructions of the supreme and subordinate teachers. And the fourth, his own inner experience. Okay. And he also said that you also do it in that way. Okay. And if I show you in the right sense, then you should realize it, experience it, and then you can prove it. Okay. So this was the fifth verse that we did last week. Today we are going to start with verse number 6. It's a very important verse in the whole of Samaysar, because this is the first time that Acharya Kunkun Dev is going to show you the main theme of Samaysar. You know, Samay is the uh, Samay is the substance, and Samaysar is the essence of that substance. Okay, so Acharya Dev first time in this Samaysar is going to show you that Samaysar, and by doing oneness in that, you will be able to realize yourself. Okay, so very important verse of Samaysar. Let's begin. In the fifth Gatha, there was the declaration to reveal the Ekatva Vibhaktva Bhagwan Atma, unitary yet distinct pure soul. Therefore, in this sixth Gatha, the nature of that Ekatva Vibhaktva Bhagwan Atma is described, and it is also explained why it is called pure. Okay. These words arise in response to the question. The student asked the question to Acharya Kunkundev, who is that pure soul? Who is that pure soul that I should know? Okay. And in response to that, Acharya Kunkundev says this gatha. Na vihodi apamato, na pamato jan go dujo bhavo, evam bhananti shuddhanado, jo so duso चेव ना अप्रमत है ना प्रमत है बस एक ज्ञायक भाव है इस भांति कहते शुद्ध पर जो ज्ञात वह तो वही है. The one who is of the knowing nature. Okay. The one. By saying one, Acharya wants to refers to that pure soul. Who is that pure soul? In response to that, this is the answer. The one who is of the knowing nature. So that pure soul is of the knowing nature. Gnayak bhav. Okay. The one who is of the knowing nature is neither non-negligent, apramata, and nor negligent, pramata. In this way, it is called pure. Why it is called pure? Because it is neither non-negligent nor negligent. Because these two are the situations. Okay, these two are the situations of the modification. So in the spiritual stages, of soul, from 1 to 6, it is called negligent state. 1 to 6, because there is an element of pramad present from first stage to the 6th stage. And from 7th to 14th stage, it is non-negligent. Okay. So here Acharya wants to say us that one who is of the knowing nature, his nature is just to know and not do. Okay. Very clearly defining, just to know. His nature is only knowing nature. Okay. It is neither non-negligent nor negligent. That means it is beyond the gunasthan. Okay. From 1 to 6 and 7 to 14. These are the two categories of spiritual stages. The first stage is, of course, pramat, negligent, and the next stage, that is 7th to 14th, is non-negligent state. But I am beyond those spiritual stages. Okay. The one who is of the knowing nature, who is beyond the spiritual stages, in this way it is called pure. So that's why it is called pure, because it's of the knowing nature. Second, it is neither negligent nor non-negligent, and that's why it is called pure. And the one who is known in the form of the knower. Okay. So that knower, the Bhagwan Atma, the pure soul, is reflecting in our knowledge. Okay. And the one who is known in the form of the knower, he alone is that very pure being, none other. So the soul is itself reflecting in our knowledge screen, and that soul is itself pure. Okay. So we don't have to go anywhere to find our soul, because our soul is reflecting in our knowledge screen. Just you have to make the connections. In the knowledge screen, you are seeing object every moment, new object. Okay. Among the new objects that are reflecting in the knowledge screen every moment, there is our soul, which is also reflecting. Okay. So in that screen, in that knowledge screen, there are two things reflecting. One is our pure soul and everything else is non-soul. So two categories of objects reflecting in our knowledge screen. One is pure soul and the other one is non uh, apart from soul, everything is non-soul for us. So everything else reflecting is non-soul. So okay, and that's why it is called pure. And the one who is known in the form of the knower, he alone is that very pure being, none other. So the one that is reflecting in the knowledge screen is the pure soul. Okay, which who is that pure soul? I am that pure soul. Now the commentary, first we will discuss the commentary of Acharya Jason and then of course Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev's commentary, which is very deep, very deep. In the place of the word, in the commentary of Acharya Jason, a variation in the text of this Gatha is found. In place of the word Shuddha, the reading is Shuddha, and instead of Nado, it is Nada. Accordingly, as per his version, the meaning of this Gatha is interpreted in the following way. The pure soul, Shuddhatma, whose nature is that of knowing. So what is the nature of your soul, Darshitji?
It is just to know, just to be a
No.
seer.
Yeah. And Sasikala ji, to know. Right? Everyone's soul's function is just to know. Okay. Nobody is a doer. Okay. But because of delusion, we believe ourselves to be a doer, and that's where the problem starts. That's where the problem is. Okay. And the moment you accept that you are only a knower, there is no problem. Because when you know, there is no problem. When you do oneness, mindness, doership, enjoyship, then there is a bondage of karma. But when you only know, that is your pure state, that is what your function is. So it is absolutely aligned with the right belief and right knowledge. Okay. 1 minute. Huh? Okay. So how it is interpreted? The pure soul whose nature is that of knowing is neither non-negligent nor negligent. Thus say the great ones who perceive through the pure standpoint, pure real standpoint, pure real point of view, Shuddha, that is number 8, supreme real point of view. In short, it is called Shuddha. In detail, it is called Param Shuddha Nischay. Number 8. In short, it is called Shuddha, pure viewpoint. Okay. Whether you call it knower or pure, it is one and the same. So the one who remains a knower is pure. Okay. And the moment you become a doer, you are impure. Okay. So by default, you are a pure soul, only a knower. But because of delusion, because of ignorance, we become a doer, and that's what we need to fix. By default, we are knower only, and we have that wrong assumption with us that I am the doer. Okay. So if you fix that, then you are what you are. Okay. So whether you call it knower or pure, it is one and the same, because knower is the pure soul. Okay. And doer is not the pure soul. It is just that it is the knower alone. Okay. By default, you are a knower and you accept it as a knower. Things done. Finish. Okay. The operation is finished. But it needs a lot of practice to come to that belief that I am a knower. Although we have been listening to this sentence again and again that I am a knower, I am a knower, my function is to know. So in terms of words, we are very good. But in terms of belief, it takes a lot of practice and efforts. Okay. And that is what Acharya Kunkundev is motivating us to accept it. You are a knower, you accept it. That's all. Okay. Today you can accept, tomorrow you can accept, after 5 years you accept, after 10 years you accept, next birth you accept. You have to accept the truth. Only then you can get into the path of liberation. Okay. So it is better that we accept it right now and believe ourselves to be only a knower. Here it is also stated that the term pramat refers to the initial 6 stages of spiritual development, while the term apramat, non-negligent, covers the latter 8 gunasthans, that is 7 to 14. Thus, in this context, the Bhagwan Atma or of the knowing nature, Gnayak Bhav Rup, is said to be Shuddha, pure, as it transcends all gunasthan. It is beyond all gunasthan. Okay. Beyond the spiritual stages. Okay. Now the commentary of Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev is beginning. So you have to cut one sentence from here. See how it is written. The Tika commentary written by Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev on this Gatha is profoundly deep. Okay. Profound is also meaning deep, no? Profound means deep. So it is profoundly deep. So specially highlighting that deep word, profoundly deep, and calls for serious and reflective contemplation. Okay. According to Pandit Jaichandi Chabda, its meaning and essence are as follows. Now this line has to be cut because what explanation is coming up is by Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev. And once we finish this, spread over 2 paragraphs, then this line has to be added. Okay. So you can do it in your textbooks, and Darshitji, you can also cancel this line and add
Which
it
line are we canceling? Sorry. Which line are we canceling?
according to Pandit Jaichandji
Okay.
Chabda, that full line. Because this is Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev's explanation. So why drag Pandit Jaichandji Chabda in it? Okay. So in the Bhavarth essence, that before that you add this line. Okay. So you go to the next page. There is a Parpat. Before Parpat, Bhavarth, that is Bhavarth. Further, yeah, further. Yes, there, here. Before this Bhavarth, you write this line. Okay. So let's start the Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev's commentary. Very profoundly deep. Okay. So deep and more deep. Okay. That which is self-established. Okay. That which is self-established. Self-established means Swayam Siddh. So that which is self-established does not have a birth, or it cannot be destroyed. It cannot be created, originated, or it cannot be destroyed, and that is called self-established. Okay. That which is self-established, that means it is not created by anyone, and also nobody can destroy it. That which is self-established, and hence its existence is beginningless, anadi. Okay. Its existence is beginningless, anadi sattarup, not created by anyone, anadi sattarup, in the bracket it is written, will never get destroyed, and hence is endless, eternal, anant. Okay. Infinite, radiates eternally. So the eternally words comes here. Nitya Udyot Roop. Udyot means to, illuminate. Radiates eternally. Radiates means Udyotrup, and eternally means Nitya. So it is present in every modification. It is giving you a glimpse in every modification. You have to just identify. You don't have to bring the pure soul in the modification, because it is existing in every modification. Okay, it is radiating eternally all the time, and hence is not momentary. It is not momentary. Okay, rather it is clearly illuminating light. Okay, Chaitanya Jyoti, conscious. Okay, it is clearly illuminating light. So who is this clear illuminating light? The pure soul, myself. Okay, so I am illuminating, I am radiating eternally, I am clearly illuminating light. Such a Gnayak who is one bhav. Such a Gnayak means pure observer, pure soul. Such a Gnayak bhav. Bhav means element. Okay. Such a Gnayak which is one. It always remains one. In the previous verse only we said it is unitary yet distinct. Okay. So that oneness never goes away. It always remains one. Although it has the capacity to know all the objects of this universe, but it never changes. It remains one, unchangeable. Okay, unchangeable. Such a Gnayak, which is one bhav, element, that in the worldly state, when described from the standpoint of beginningless bondage condition. So this bondage condition is there since time beginningless. Okay, there is no beginning of this bondage. The soul and the karma are always together. Okay, so there is no beginning of the soul and no beginning of the karma. Okay, so when you see that pure soul from the perspective of the standpoint of beginningless bondage condition, when you see from the bondage condition is united with karmic matter. Okay, so there is a bondage of soul and the karma. So when you look from that perspective, from the viewpoint of bondage condition, it is seen to be united with karmic matter, like milk with water. Okay, so just milk and water are together, but if you heat it up, the water will evaporate and you will get pure milk. Okay, so how did you get the pure milk? Because milk never touched the water, although they were together, but they were still separate, and that's why we are able to evaporate the water and get the pure milk. Okay, similarly this karmic matter, okay, the karmas and the soul are mixed, mixed up with one another. Okay, since beginningless time. The journey is eternal, so it is from beginningless time. So when described from the standpoint of beginningless bondage condition, it is united with karmic matter, like milk with water. Yet, after saying yet, the Acharya Kunkundadev, no, Acharya Amritchandra Dev is changing the whole angle, okay, whole dimension. Yet, when seen from the standpoint of the intrinsic nature, when seen from the viewpoint of real viewpoint, intrinsic nature of the substance, dravya swabhav, from the viewpoint of substance, okay, while there exist endless risings of the fierce cycle of varied passions. Okay, so when you are looking from the perspective of bondage condition, you see that it has, the soul is mixed with the karmic matter, and because of that mixture, it is manifesting varied passions. Okay, fierce cycle of varied passions that bring about many forms of auspicious and inauspicious states. Okay. That generate merit and demerit. Okay. So fear cycle of varied passion, which leads to auspicious and inauspicious states, which leads to merit and demerit. Okay. Punya and pap karma in the soul. But that gnag bhav never transforms its nature. Okay, the inherent nature remains the same all the time. It never transforms its nature, does not change from knowing nature to inert nature. Huh? It does not change from its knowing nature to inert nature. Okay. Although it has been associated with karmic matter since beginningless time, but when you see it from the perspective of pure viewpoint, substance viewpoint, okay, then we see that the soul never transforms its nature, does not change from knowing nature to inert nature. Inert nature means jad swabhavi, okay, non-living, jad, non-living, inanimate. Hence, it is neither negligent nor non-negligent. This very element, while being dedicatedly experienced as distinct from the modes of all other substances, is called pure. So you see, what are the logics for calling it this pure soul as pure? So one logic was that it does not uh, what first logic was it uh, 1 minute. The main So it is neither non-negligent nor negligent. So that is the first reason why it is pure. Now here it says that while being dedicatedly experienced as distinct from the modes of all other substance. So since it is different, since it is separate from the modes of all other substance, that's why also it is pure. So we have got so far two logics. Okay. Third logic we can use that it does not change its knowing nature to inert nature. Just because it does not change its knowing nature to inert nature, that's why it is pure. Okay. So we have got three logics so far. Okay. Let's move to the next paragraph and we can see.
Sorry, which is the second one?
So first one is it is neither negligent nor non-negligent. Okay. That means it is beyond gunasthan, beyond spiritual stages. The second is it does not change from knowing nature to inert nature of auspicious and inauspicious sentiments. Okay. Auspicious and inauspicious, it never change into that. Okay. So that is the second. And the third is it is experienced as distinct from the modes of all other substances. So that's why it is called pure. Okay. Now we will see one more logic in the next paragraph, why it is pure. Maybe two logics. Just as fire, by virtue of having the form of a combustible object, daya. Okay. So fire assumes the form of the object which is burning. Okay. Just as fire, by virtue of having the form of a combustible object, is said to burn, yet it does not thereby acquire the impurity caused by what it burns. Impurity caused by combustible object. Okay. So the combustible objects have many pure impurities, but the fire does not touch those impurities. Okay. Fire does not become impure because of those impurities. In the same way, that bhav, state, knowing nature is called knowing, gnayakatva, gnayakta, because it assumes the form of the knowable. Is called knowing because it assumes the form of the knowable, gnayakar. So the objects are reflecting on its knowledge screen. So that's why it is called, it assumes the form of the knowable, gnayakar. Nevertheless, it does not become impure through the knowable. Okay. So the knowables may have impurities, but this soul does not become impure. Okay. So this is the fourth logic. For in the state of assuming the form of the knowable, gnayakar avastha, what is known as the knower remains even in the act of manifesting its own nature, Swarup Prakashan. Okay. Only the knower. Okay. So when that pure soul is a knower, okay, it remains even in the act of manifesting its own nature. So when its own nature is reflected in the knowledge screen, at that time also he is a knower. Okay. When other objects are reflecting, at that time also he is a knower. When his own pure soul is reflecting in his own knowledge screen, at that time also he is a knower. Okay. For that they have given an example. Let's see of the example of the lamp. So in the both the cases, when it is knowing the self, it is a knower. When it is knowing the other objects, it is still a knower. Okay. So it does not become impure through the knowable. For in the state of assuming the form of the knowable, what is known as the knower remains even in the act of manifesting its own nature, Swarup Prakashan, only the knower. Self-luminous like a lamp. Okay, Deepak. Since the knower and the known are not two separate entities, but one in essence. Okay, knower and the known. Okay, since the knower, we are the knower. Okay, since the knower and the known, what is being reflected in the knowledge screen is called known. Knower and known are not two separate entities, but one in essence. Karta karma ananyatva. Okay, that means one in essence. He is the knower himself, self cognizing, swayam gyata. Okay, self knower. Therefore, he himself is the agent and he himself is that which is known. Okay, so he is the karta and he is the karma. So there are three things. One is the knower, that is pure soul. The second is knowledge, in which it is reflected. And the third one is the pure soul, which is reflected in the knowledge screen. Okay. So knower, knowledge, and knowables. Okay. And the whole process of knowing. All these becomes one when the self-realization happens. Okay. Just as a lamp, even while illuminating a pot or a cloth, remains a lamp. And when it illuminates its own flame of light, okay, it remains the same lamp. Nothing else. In the same way, one should understand the Gnayak, knower. Okay. So the knower remains knower when it is reflecting non-self, and knower remains a knower when it is reflecting the self. In both the cases, the knower is the same. It remains the same. It is his inherent nature. It is his only function. Okay. So it keeps on knowing every moment. And what is going to know in every moment, that is also prefixed, predetermined. And it comes one by one on its knowledge screen. And this soul, pure soul, is the observer, only knower. There could not be anything beyond knowing. Nothing. No oneness, no mindness, no doership, and no enjoyership. Okay. So this is the commentary by Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev. Okay. Then we will see this Bhavart. But before that, I would like to repeat once more the commentary by Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev, and Darshitji, you can read. One more repetition, no problem.
Okay. The Tika written by Acharya Amrit Chandra on this Gatha is profoundly deep and calls for serious and reflective contemplation. According to Pandit Jayachandri, okay, so we've cancelled this line.
Yes.
Please cancel. That which is self-established and hence its existence is beginningless, not created by anyone, will never get destroyed, and hence its endless anant radiates eternally, and hence is not momentary, rather is a clearly illuminating light of consciousness.
Stop.
Such a pure.
Stop. So in these 3 lines, what you can understand, Darshitji, what they are trying to explain?
Okay, so
What does that mean by that?
that is the pure soul that they're
Hmm.
talking about,
Hmm.
the pure Bhagwan Atma,
Hmm.
which is unitary and distinct
Yes,
at the same
good.
time.
So now you connect in that way. That which is self-established. That means Bhagwan Atma is self-established. I am self-established. Okay. And hence its existence is beginningless, not created by anyone. Okay. Will never get destroyed. And hence is endless. Okay. Radiates eternally. That pure soul is radiating eternally all the time. And hence is not momentary, rather is a clearly illuminating light of consciousness. With these 3 lines, you can realize yourself. Just put it in your place. I am this, I am this. Take it in the first person, and you will feel that, oh, I am the pure soul, I am only a knower, I am not a doer. Okay, now continue.
Such a Nyayak, pure observer, who is one element that in the worldly state, when described from the standpoint of beginningless bondage condition, is united with karmic matter like milk with water.
Hmm.
Yet, when seen from the standpoint of the intrinsic nature of the substance, while there exist endless risings of the fierce cycle of varied passions that bring about many forms of auspicious and inauspicious states that generate merit and demerit in the soul. But that Yayak Bhav never transforms its nature, does not change from knowing nature to inert nature. Hence, it is neither negligent nor non-negligent. This very element, while being dedicatedly experienced as distinct from the modes of all other substances, is called pure.
Hmm. So, how many uh, how many adjectives for proving it pure?
For
How we prove it, it is pure? Three logics we have so far done, right? First one is it is neither negligent nor non-negligent. Okay, that's why it is pure. It is beyond the spiritual stages. Okay, that's why it is pure. The second is it's while being dedicatedly experienced as distinct from the modes of all other substance. Okay, and that's why it is pure. Okay, and the third reason was it does not change from knowing nature to inert nature. Okay, not it does not change from knowing nature to inert nature. That's why also it is pure. So three logics we have got from first paragraph. Okay, now we read the second paragraph.
Just as fire, by virtue of having the form of a combustible object, is said to burn, yet it does not thereby acquire the impurity caused by what it burns. In the same way, that state is called knowing because it assumes the form of the knowable. Nevertheless, it does not become impure through the knowable. For in the state of assuming the form of the knowable, what is known as the knower remains even in the act of manifesting its own nature. Only the knower, self-luminous like a lamp, since the knower and the known are two separate entities, but one in essence, he is the knower himself, self-cognizing. Therefore, he himself is the agent, and he himself is that which is known. Just as a lamp, even while illuminating a pot or a cloth, remains a lamp, and even when it illuminates its own flame of light, it remains the same lamp, nothing else. In the same way, one should understand the knower.
So this knower, two adjectives more we have added in this paragraph. One is that just by giving the example of fire, fire by virtue of having the form of combustible object is said to burn, yet it does not thereby acquire the impurity caused by what it burns. Okay. In the same way, that bhav state is called knowing because it assumes the form of the knowable. It does not become impure. So that's why also it is called pure. This is the fourth logic. Okay. ज्ञेय कृत अशुद्धता नहीं आती है. The impurity of the knowable is never manifested in the knower. Okay, knowables are reflecting, but any of the impurities of the knowable never enters the knower. Okay, and that's why it does not become impure. It does not become impure through the knowable. So this is the fourth logic. And the fifth logic is that when it is reflecting the non-self substance, it is still a knower, and when it is reflecting its own image in the knowledge screen, still is a knower. So that's why also it is a pure. So five reasons. Okay, three in the first paragraph, two here. Okay, are you all good with these five reasons why it is pure? So first one is not negligent, neither negligent nor non-negligent. That means it is the beyond the spiritual stages of development. Okay. Second was uh, 1 minute. Second was here, it does not change. Okay, never transforms its nature, does not change from knowing nature to inert nature. Okay, so that was the second logic. The third one was uh, experienced as distinct from the modes of all other substance. Now this experienced, अनुभव में आता हुआ. Okay, while being dedicatedly experienced. So when it is coming into experience, we can see that it is quite distinct from the modes of all other substances. Okay, So when it is experienced, there you realize that it is absolutely distinct from all other substances, and that's why it is pure. Okay, 3 reasons from the first para. Second paragraph, there are 2 reasons. One is that the impurity that is there in the combustible object, never it enters the fire. Similarly, this knowing nature, the impurities of the knowables never enters the knower. Okay, impurity of the knowables never gets into the knower, and that's why it is pure. Fourth reason. And the fifth one was, what was the fifth one? Yeah, so when it is just like lamp, when the cloth and the pot are reflecting, it is still the lamp. And when the lamp is um, what was the reason? Uh, just as fire, by virtue of having its form, no, this one done. So this is the fourth reason. Yes. So here, for from there, for in the state of assuming the form of the knowable, what is known as the knower remains even in the act of manifesting its own nature. Okay. Only the knower, self-luminous like a lamp, since the knower and the known are not two separate entities, but one in essence, he is the knower himself, self-cognizing. Okay. Swam Gyata. Therefore, he himself is the agent and he himself is that which is known. Just as lamp, even while illuminating a pot or a cloth, remains a lamp, and even when it illuminates its own flame of light, it remains the same, nothing else. In the same way, one should understand the knower. Okay, knower also remains a knower when it is reflecting other objects, and it also remains a knower when it is reflecting in his own knowledge himself. Okay, so in this way we have seen the 5 reasons why it is pure. Okay, just now repeat the second paragraph once more, so we will be done with this.
Just as fire, by
So
virtue of
Priyanka
having
will read. Priyanka, let Priyanka read. You will be able to read? Rajeshri ji, okay.
Just as fire, by virtue of having the form
Hmm.
of a combustible object, is said to burn, yet it does not thereby acquire the impurity caused by what it burns. In the same way, the state is called knowing, because it assumes the form of knowable. Nevertheless, it does not become impure through the knowable. For
Hmm.
in the state of assuming the form of knowable, what is known as a knower remains even in the act of manifesting its own nature. Only the knower self luminous like a lamp, since the knower and the known are not two separate entities but one in essence. He is the knower himself, self cognizing. Therefore, he himself is the agent and he himself is that which is known, karma. Just as a lamp, even while illuminating a pot or a cloth, it remains a lamp, and even when it illuminates its own flame of light, it remains the same lamp, nothing else. In the same way, one should understand the knower.
Good. So now we will see the Bhavarth. Okay. Now this is by Pandit Jaychandji Chabda. You can add that line before this Bhavarth. Okay. Impurity arises through association with non-self substances. Okay. So that also we have studied in the earlier verse, that if it is one, it is always pure. When there is a talk of bondage with other, then it is contradictory, because every substance exists in itself. It never touches the another substance. So the narrative of bondage is contradictory. Okay. So then they concluded that so the soul remains the soul. Okay, ekatva vibhakta, unitary yet distinct. It remains unitary yet distinct. Okay. So here it says, the first line, impurity arises through association. So when you are associating with someone, then the impurity arises. Okay. Impurity arises through association with non-self substances, pardravya. In that association, the original substance itself does not become another substance. It remains the same substance. Just as we said that it remains a knower. Okay. Just as the lamp remains a lamp, whether it is knowing pot or cloth, or whether it is knowing its own flame. Okay. It remains the lamp only. Similarly, the soul remains a knower only when it is reflecting the non-soul substances, or when it is reflecting his own image also, then also it is a pure soul. Okay. So in that association, the original substance itself does not become another substance. Only its state, okay, becomes defiled, impure, due to the influence, nimit, instrumental cause of other substances. Okay. So only its modification, state, okay, it becomes impure. The main pure substance remains pure. Only the modification becomes impure when there is an association with the non-self substances. Okay. From the standpoint of substance, dravya drashti, the substance remains exactly what it is. We were in one sensed being, same soul. Here also, same soul. And tomorrow we will get liberated, same soul. Okay. The substance remains exactly what it is, unchangeable everywhere, remains exactly what it is. But from the viewpoint of modification, it appears impure. So there is no denying about that from the point of view of modification. Okay. But what Acharya is recommending us, that you see from the substance viewpoint, you remain pure. Whenever you apply the substance viewpoint, whenever you apply the supreme real point of view, we see the soul absolutely pure, devoid of modifications, devoid of distinctions of attributes. Okay. It remains always pure. So this is called soul element. Okay. In the same way, the inherent nature of the Atma is only knowingness. Yet its paryay under the influence of karmic matter becomes tainted by attachments, etc. Attachment, aversions, passions, all kind of alien dispositions. It becomes tainted only under the influence of karmic matter. Individually, it will never become impure. Okay. Independently, it will never become impure. Only when it is under the influence of karmic matter, then only it becomes tainted by attachments, aversions, passions, all. Seen from the viewpoint of modification, it appears impure, no problem. But from the viewpoint of substance, its knowing nature remains knowing. It never turns into non-consciousness, insentient, inert. Okay, never. Next. Here, the perspective of the substance is held as primary. Okay, this is primary. Everything else is secondary. Okay. Here the perspective of the substance, Dravya Drashti, is held as primary. The distinctions of Pramat and Apramat being the modes caused by the association with other non-self substances, okay. So the distinction of Pramat and Apramat belongs to the modes, okay, it belongs to the modes caused by the association with other non-self substances. This impurity, when seen from the viewpoint of the substance, this is the skill that we have to learn, okay. This impurity, when seen from the viewpoint of the substance, is secondary, okay. So impurity becomes secondary when you see from the viewpoint of substance, okay. Conventional, it becomes conventional, it becomes unreal, it becomes untrue, and figurative, upchar, okay. These are all synonymous. So when seen from the viewpoint of substance, it is pure, and when seen from the viewpoint of modification, it is impure, secondary, conventional, unreal, untruth, and figurative. No problem, because the perspective is different, okay. So when we want to experience ourselves, what perspective we should apply, Darshitji?
The pure viewpoint.
Yes, the real viewpoint.
Okay.
Very good.
So I wanted to ask a question. When it says here, this
Mhm.
impurity,
Mhm.
this impurity, obviously they're talking about modifications, but are they talking of the paryaya as well?
So impurity is in the modification only. Impurity is never in the pure substance. So when they
So
talk of
the
impurity, they are talking of modification.
not paryaya.
Paryay. Impurity is in the
Paryaya.
paryay.
Yeah, okay.
So this impurity, when seen from the viewpoint of the substance, is secondary. The moment you apply the substance viewpoint, the impurity becomes secondary, gone. Okay. Conventional, unreal, untruth, figurative, because it does not, impurity does not enter the pure substance. It remains outside only. It remains in the modification only. And modification is not part of the pure substance. Okay. So when you apply the substance viewpoint, you can see the pure soul and just put a stamp on it that I am this, and your self-realization is done. Okay. As in a post office, they go on putting stamp, one after another, one after the same way. The knowledge is creating an image of the pure soul on your knowledge screen. Okay. That much is the job of the knowledge. Now it is the job of the belief to put a stamp on it that I am this. Okay. So then it's called self-realization, because you are that pure soul and now you believe that you are pure soul. That means your belief is right. You were a pure soul, you were believing it to be a impure soul or body or whatnot. Okay. Now you are believing yourself to be a pure soul. So your belief is correct. You are a right believer. Okay. The Dravya Dashti is pure, Shuddha, non-dual, Abhed. So you cut it down non-dual, you write non-differentiated. We also did this in Agam Ke Nay. Non-differentiated, differentiated. Bhed is differentiated, Abhed is non-differentiated. Okay. So you change it. The Dravya Drashti is pure, non-differentiated, real, factual, Bhutat, true, Satyarth, and ultimate, Paramarth. Therefore, the soul is only the knower. There is no division in it. Hence, it is neither Pramat nor Apramat. The name knower, Gnayak. Okay, knower means Gnayak, Gnayak Bhav. The name knower is given because it knows the knowable, Gne. Okay, knowable, object of knowledge. The name knower is given because it knows the knowable, Gne. When the reflection of the knowable appears, such an experience arises in knowledge. Okay. When the reflection of the knowable appears, such an experience arises in knowledge. Yet it does not become impure through the knowable. Okay. The knowables are only reflecting. Just by reflection, it doesn't become impure. Okay. For even as the knowable is reflected within knowledge, the experience remains that of the knower alone. Okay. The experience, the realization remains that of the knower alone. Okay. So, knowable is reflected in our knowledge. Okay. And our pure soul is also reflected in our knowledge. Okay. Both are reflecting. So you have to ignore the knowables and make the knower as primary. Okay. That is the operation that you have to do for self-realization. Okay. When one realizes that this one who is the knower is myself alone, the one who is the knower is myself alone, there is no other. When such a non-differentiated, so that was differentiated, here it is, no, that was also non-dual, no, it was written non-dual, so the good word is non-differentiated, which they have done here. When one realizes that this one is the knower is myself alone, there is no other. When such a non-differentiated experience of oneself by oneself arises, then the doer of this knowing activity is oneself alone. And that which is known is also oneself alone as the object. Okay. Such knowingness alone, Gnayakatva Matra, such knowingness alone is intrinsically pure, because that is the self-realized state. Okay. When the pure soul reflects in our knowledge screen and we say that I am this pure soul, then such experience, okay, is called knowingness alone. And that is intrinsically pure, because at that time you are realizing yourself. You don't have anything else in your mind. Nothing else is reflecting in your knowledge screen. You are only reflecting in your knowledge screen, and the moment you connect with that, you believe that you are that one, the same moment the experience happens, realization happens, and at that moment you are knowing yourself only. You are knowing nothing else at the time of experience. Such knowingness alone is intrinsically pure. This pertains to the pure viewpoint. So this is how you apply the pure viewpoint, real, supreme, real point of view. This is how you apply and you realize yourself. All other distinctions that arise from association with external non-self substances per Sanyog Janit Bhed, okay, belong to the impure substantial viewpoint, Ashudh Dravyarthik Nay. Even this impure Dravyarthik Nay, when viewed from the standpoint of the pure substance, okay, is in fact only a viewpoint concerned with modes. Okay. So impurity is in the modes, And when you are seeing from that viewpoint, it is in fact only a viewpoint concerned with modes. Therefore, it should be understood as belonging merely to the conventional viewpoint. Okay. One more paragraph. It should also be understood here that the doctrine of the jinas, Jin Mata, is of the nature of Syadvad. Syadvad means from a certain perspective. Okay. Non-absolutism, non-one-sided view. Okay. So that is from a certain perspective, is the nature of Syadvad. Therefore, the impure viewpoint, Ashuddhanaya, should not be regarded as entirely false. For according to the Syadvad Praman, Syadvad Praman means from a certain perspective, valid knowledge. Praman is valid knowledge. Both purity and impurity are properties of the same entity. Okay. And the properties of an entity constitute its very existence. The only difference is that impurity arises due to the association with non-self substances. Okay. So when you are realizing yourself, then there is no impurity at that point of time, because you are busy with the experience. So at that point of time, you are focused only on the self. Okay. The impure viewpoint is to be abandoned. Hey, it is to be renounced. Okay. Because its subject is the worldly condition, wherein the Atma experiences suffering. Okay. So in the worldly condition, the Atma experiences suffering. So this Ashuddhanaya is to be abandoned. Then what is to be adopted? Pure viewpoint. Okay. What is to be adopted? Pure viewpoint. Because what is the subject of pure viewpoint? The pure soul. So that will lead to you experience of pure soul. Okay. So that is to be adopted, pure viewpoint. And this has to be, Ashuddhanaya has to be renounced, abandoned. When the soul realizes its distinctions from the non-self, then the bondage of the world is released and affliction ceases. Thus, the teaching of the pure viewpoint Shuddhanaya is emphasized as primary, since it leads to the cessation of suffering. Okay, so this is the conclusion. Thus, the teaching of the pure viewpoint Shuddhanaya is emphasized as primary, since it leads to the cessation of suffering. So, this is where we will stop today, and you can revise this once more. We will be touching, although what is there in our syllabus, that is already been explained. Okay, you have to write down the five logics why it is called pure. Okay, why the Bhagwan Atma is called pure. So I have explained you 5 logics from the commentary by Acharya Amritchandra Dev. First paragraph there were 3 points, and the second paragraph there were 2 points. All these 5 points will help you in practicing discriminative knowledge. Okay. So every now and then, whatever you encounter in life, you will have 2 visions. One from the substance viewpoint and one from the modification viewpoint. So from the modification point of viewpoint, there will be impurity, there will be passions, there would be auspicious and inauspicious sentiments. Okay. So from the modification viewpoint, all these are true. But at the same time, you want to practice descriptive knowledge, so you have to apply substance viewpoint or the pure viewpoint or the supreme real point of view. And the moment you apply that, you could see only the pure soul as the object in your knowledge screen. Nothing else is coming into your knowledge screen. Okay. It is absolutely highlighted. The pure soul is highlighted. Nothing else. So we call it, no, we zoom on that. So we have to zoom on that pure soul. Okay. And it will cover the whole knowledge screen. And then you are the knower, and in the knowledge screen, you are only reflecting. Okay. Then the realization happens. So easy. Okay. So just repeat it. I don't think we need to elaborate further, but you read through the balance pages. If you feel anything worth understanding, you can ask me. Otherwise, we will move to the 7th verse. Okay. That is also, we can say, a second part of this 6th verse. In the 6th verse, it was mentioned that soul is neither negligent nor non-negligent. Okay. So we were talking of the modifications. Okay. Pure modification and impure modifications. Not pure and impure, but modifications with negligence and modification without negligence. We were talking of modifications only. Okay. In the 7th verse, we will talk of the distinctions of attributes. So in number 4, yeah, in number 4, there were 2 components. Okay. Number 4, conventional point of view. Okay. Anupcharit, Sadbhut, Vyavhar, Nay. Literal, existent, conventional point of view. Okay. 4th number, there were 2 components. 100% pure modifications, and the second one was distinction of attributes. Now the distinction of attributes, so 47 and 48. So in the 48, we negated the distinctions of attributes. Okay. And that we will learn in verse number 7. Okay. So just repeat 1-2 times, 5 logics why it is pure. Okay. And I think you have covered most of it. This particular verse establishes what we need to focus on. How do we practice discriminative knowledge? Okay. So all these words are teaching us that. So also study in that, from that perspective also, that I want to practice discriminative knowledge. So discrimination has to be done between 2 things. Out of this, one thing is the pure soul and everything else is non-soul. Okay. So this distinction, the discriminative knowledge, you have to practice. Okay. And then you will be able to connect even when there are afflictions on you. Okay. Just as the monk during upsarg, what they do? They remain engrossed in themselves. They never deviate. They never get distracted. Why? Because they are extracting the eternal bliss from within. They are busy in that. So outside something happening in the body level, their attention is not going that far. They are fully concentrated on the self. Okay. So just read it once or twice, and if you have any queries, you can ask tomorrow. Otherwise, we will go to the 7th verse and try to do that. Okay. Any questions now? Still we have 2 minutes time. Rajeshri, you will be able to understood? Are you
I
understanding?
understood, sir. I understood, but there's a lot of repetition. The same thing is being
Yeah.
repeated
So
in every
first one was commentary by Acharya Amritchandra Dev. Then
Hanji.
there was commentary by this Pandit Jaichandji Chabda. And now
Yeah.
if you read further, it will repetition, repetition, repetition. But repetition is good. Repetition is good so that things get highlighted in your knowledge. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
repetition is good here. So
Yeah.
I would recommend all of you to read the balance commentaries. And if you find anything difficult in understanding, you can ask tomorrow. Okay. So we'll meet tomorrow. निच निधि निज में बताई यह अनंत उपकार है उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार है उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार है 9 times नमो